Let's roll.
All right, everybody. I'm here with Coach Bob Hoffman, longtime coach, educator, and youth supporter in the Erie area. What's up, Coach? How you doing today?
Not too much. What a pleasure it is to be here with you, Mo. I tell you what a great thing you're doing for our area community with this, the outreach that it's going to. I hope this reaches some of the guys that I coached and hopefully inspire some of the guys that we're coaching to come down here and get with you and talk about their experiences as coaches.
Yeah, that'd be great, Coach. So let's start off. Tell us where you grew up, what city, what state, maybe what neighborhood, or whatever you want to say.
Well, grew up at 31st and Old French Road, which was about 2 blocks away from Bakersfield.
Okay.
And Bakersfield, as you well know, is the place where many practices took place, many things took place over the years. Great athletes walked onto that field, including yourself. And many of which I was able to coach myself. We were 2 blocks away from Bakersfield, where I lived. Many of our young days were spent there at the Rock playing baseball or maybe playing football with my sister Mary. One time we were playing football at Bakersfield, and little Gritter's coach come over, she whacked somebody, and they come over and said, hey, do you want to play football? And she took off her helmet and knew it was a little girl. And of course, at that time, little girls didn't play. But as time went on, that definitely changed. But what a tremendous, it was my hood, you know, that whole area. Many young kids played at that field back in our day. And that's where St. John's, where I went to grade school, played. And we literally had many great football games at that field in the parochial league because there was not a designated field like there was later on when they had Bigsby Field.
Right.
And so Bakersfield was home. We'd play like Holy Rosary Tech when at the new, where it's new now for the Royals. When they used to play, we'd play St. George's over there. We'd play the East Side teams. And back when I played football, there were 10 teams in the parochial league. Now there's 2. And so there's been a dramatic change in that.
Right.
Yeah.
So what about go ahead, Coach. You got something else there?
Well, one of the things that was really interesting about Bakersfield is all the coaching. That's where I started coaching. You know, I mean, Tim Holland was the coach at St. John's grade school at the time, and when Timmy became the coach, he had some tremendous people with him. Bob Sturm, a very big name in Erie sports. He played at Purdue, I believe. His name was Jack Laraway. I believe it was Purdue, but I'm not positive. I'm pretty sure. But anyway, he was a well-known coach, and a guy named Bryant. And all these coaches were coaching at St. John's, and they needed someone to coach the 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. And what a place to start. I always wanted to coach. I couldn't play football anymore because I was really hurt pretty bad in 10th grade against McDowell, where Itchy Penman drove me into the bleachers of McDowell bleachers when they used to be real close, and dislocated my shoulder. And so I didn't really play football much in high school, but most of my time was spent coaching young kids. As a matter of fact, I think the first 5 years of my coaching career as a JV, 5th, 6th grade, we didn't lose for 4 years.
Right.
And I didn't lose until I became the head coach at St. John's, probably around 1977. And we lost the city championship to St. George's, and then the next year with a great group of people, Bobby Neese, Joe Tarasovich, who you might know, he was your coach, and I coached them. So Mike Furman, there was a good group of people back in those days, and that's where everything got going, you know?
Yeah,
I mean, that's where I come out of the woodwork with football, and I loved coaching it. You know, it was awesome.
So Tell me about your family a little bit. Did you grow up with both parents?
Yeah, I had
Siblings?
both my parents. My mother actually was a cook at Wilson, Woodrow. And my father was the general manager for Eckerd Drugs in the city of Erie. Tremendous Catholic people that were very loving and caring and well known on the 31st Street traditions. One of my favorite stories to tell about the days back when I played was Bubby and Paul Gamble, who maybe some people out there might know them. But they were in the 8th grade and I was in the 6th, and I played on the varsity team as a 6th grader because I was a big cat. And I played guard, believe it or not, and then I went on to play linebacker and fullback as the years went on. But in 6th grade I played guard with some great people in the city of Erie that are still around. Bill Doperella, I could name a lot of the guys that were on the team. But we lost the city championship because of my clip against St. George's. And we went on to have just tremendous times growing up in that neighborhood. Not only that, but academy practice there at the time. John Christensen was the coach. When I went to school, Don Zono was the coach at academy. And a great guy that many people will know. His name was Philip Kowski. He was a great guy that many people might know. But we had a lot of fun and a lot of times. And Bubby and Paul one time stayed over at my house on 31st North 325, East 31st Street. And a person across the street was very prejudiced. His name was, well, it doesn't matter what his name was. But anyway, next morning when they stayed over, when we went to practice, he had thrown garbage all over our front lawn and called us white trash because of the fact that the two black men stayed at our house, and Bubby and Paul. Well, that what proceeded, and the best part of this story is that as time went on, probably a year afterwards, that house was sold, and it was sold to Mel Witherspoon, who became one of the greatest people that I have known in my life, and a very good friend. And he moved in next to this person who eventually moved out. We got rid of the trash. We got rid of the trash and learned a valuable lesson. So I was very acclimated to being in the community with all aspects of what was going on. And also at Academy, I was the student council president during the times of very, very, very difficult times in 1970. If you look back at that, there were some serious times there. And many of my friends got expelled from school there, and I lost a lot of friends over a lot of stupid things that went on, as we all know, during that time. Matter of fact, Mo, when Martin Luther King was killed, you probably weren't even born, were you?
I wasn't.
No. And, but anyway, down at 18th and German, right next to the JFK Center, was Arthur F. Schultz building. It was a 8-story building. And in the riots, that building was started on fire in Erie. And it was an all-alarm fire. Everybody in the world was there. That night, I dribbled my basketballs down to 16th and probably Parade. There's down in the project. Me, Alan Poole, Kenny Harden. I'm trying to think of who the other person was. I think it was Mike Barnes. Played basketball to the light of the fire. Right in that whole area. Right in that area. And
Spoon has a league down there.
Yeah, he does. Spoon's a bad dude, man. I like that guy. I love that guy. Yeah, I do. But a lot of good times back in those days, and a lot of just, good, tremendous athletes. Tommy Hansen, Bobby Woodard, Denny Sadisher, Alan Poole, oh my goodness, and Woody Thompson. I could go on for a long time.
A lot of legends out of that.
A lot of legends out of that group. I could name a bunch of them, and got to hang around or play against many of them. Many of them in the day. So that was pretty much my upbringing, and Mama and Dad were just the best. Anybody that knew them
Right.
know what kind of people they were, as many parents were.
Right. So as a player, when you look back, what did you enjoy the most as a player? What would you say?
I'd have to say the friendships that I made. When I went to academy, I came from Woodrow Wilson. I played with Nate Beard, Tony McClendon, and a lot of good players. And then I went to academy as a sophomore, and I worked hard at basketball, and I was good. I mean, I worked hard at it, and I played it hard. And there were 4 other guys on the team. One of them being Chick Matthews, the other one being, I can't think of his name, Timmy Nunes, and Nick Savillo, all white, and they were on the basketball team at Academy when I was a sophomore. And when I came, I wasn't going to surrender. I was going to beat them out and I did, and they quit. So now I was the only white guy on the whole black basketball team. And as a matter of fact, as time went on, that became an asset because I was recruited by college. Because believe it or not, back in those days, it was believed that there could be 1 black person on a team and 4 white, or 1 white and 4 black. And you can look that up. You'll find that out. It's history, which is unfortunate, but it was true at the time. That's what coaches believed.
Right.
So that's kind of where the sport, just the competition itself, no matter what it was. We all got into that, and that's why we all played it, I think.
Right. So where are some of the places you coached? I know you coached a lot of places.
Yeah, I did. I started at St. John's. Probably in the late 60s, early 70s. I have it at 1968, but they're telling me that it was probably 1969 or 70. So anyway, I coached there till 1978. Then Paul Demjanovic asked me to coach basketball at Academy. And during that time, I was going to college. I graduated in 1975 from Mercyhurst. I had taught at East High School. I had taught at Vincent. I had taught at every one of the city schools, including Tech, Green and White. I taught Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I taught typing. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I taught distributive education. That was big money, $600, $100 a day.
Right.
Anyway, that's how things started to take place. And during the officiating of it, I became pretty good at that because of the fact that I knew the game, obviously, because I was coaching, and I knew a lot of people simply because of the fact of what I had done. So I ended up coaching a lot of games. Matter of fact, I officiated a game that you played against East High School, my man, where you played at Edinburgh University, if I recall. And that was with Red Murray, Joe Sivak, Lou Presta, very prominent names in the officiating field. And I was chosen because I taught at East, and at that time I hadn't coached at Academy yet because it wasn't the basketball season, but I was hired to. And they still had enough respect for me to have me at that game. I almost got myself killed because if you recall at the end of the game there was Donnybrook, and guess who was at the bottom of that getting his butt whooped? It was me trying to get everybody to break it up. So I do vividly remember your first championship, I might add, in 1978. And then in 1979, 78 I coached basketball, 79 I came on the staff at Academy with Danny DiTullio, Kenny Brazenton, and Harry Morrison, God rest his soul. What a tremendous man he was. And tremendous experience. And one of the reasons why I came on there was, usually back in those times it was all teachers that would coach. Right. It was never anybody that was outside of teaching that would coach. And it was pretty simple because the union made it so that the teachers had their first choice, and they'd pick up that extra money, some of them, who really didn't care to coach. They just
There's extra money in it.
Yeah, that was the extra money thing. That wasn't the case for me. And I think I would have done it for nothing. I did for the first 8 years of my life because I loved it so much. And that included basketball too. But as time went on, I had to get a coach's certification. I was the first person in the whole city of Erie to have a
to get
coach's
actual
certification. Actual certification from Mercyhurst University, where Dr. Garvey set up a group of people consisting of Gus Thomas, Lenny Sytursky, Jack Laraway, Tim Holland, Bob Sturm, and Tony DeMeo, who was the new coach at Mercyhurst University. And I would have meetings with each one of them and discuss certain aspects of the football with them and have to study certain aspects of football as well as rules and regulations and all the things that went on back in those times. It actually took kinesiology and physiology because of the fact that I wanted to be able to, I had to have care and prevention of athletic injuries. So I was actually certified as, a guy that could go out onto the field and, and help with certain situations. Did that many times with Dr. Rayner from the Erie area. And so a lot of those people that I coached with, went on to do great things, and the people that I learned from at that time were very, very well-known coaches in this town. So I'm kind of proud of the fact I might be the only one that's ever been certified, to be honest with it, because once I started coaching, I then started teaching.
Right.
And I would be full-time at East or full-time at Vincent or full-time at Academy. And actually I did 6.5 years before I ended up going to McDowell in 1984 and 85. In 1984-85 I went to McDowell High School to coach with Joe Sanford. And Joe Sanford had become the new coach. And a guy named Herbie Downs. McDowell was not exactly in my eyesight. I actually wanted so bad to be the basketball coach at the Academy. It was pretty bad. And I loved the Academy, and I loved the Erie City Schools.
Right.
So that never worked out, and in 1984, Harry Morrison was on the staff, and he says there's an opening out at McDowell. And I said, all right. I says, I'm going to go out and apply, and I did, and got the job, and then Joe Sanford became the coach, and we went on to have a very successful time with Joe at McDowell. I taught there, then I started teaching there in 84, 85. At the same time with which I was asked to be the track coach for 1 year at McDowell, and I accepted it with the intention that Joe Sanford would take over after I left, after that first year. And consequently, the next year, they asked me to do it again because we had won the District 10 title for, I believe, the first time that McDowell ever won a District 10 title. And then we proceeded to go on for, when I was the head coach, for 6 years with some of the most outstanding track events, Ricky Flowers and Kevin Flowers and Chet Moffitt and Joe Grippy and some of the people that I coached in track, which I had coached at the Academy. Actually, I was a track coach with Jimmy Del Sandro at Academy, and then became the head coach and won the District 10 title at Academy with Levon Rowan and Lee Barney and those cats back in the day. They were Marvin Ridgway. Oh my goodness, there was some tremendous athletes that I had. Michael Jenkins, who I always thought could be a great quarterback, but he never took it out because he was my javelin thrower for me. But anyway, I went to McDowell in 1984, 85, and coached linebackers and some receivers. Brian, you may have heard of Brian Stabline. He wasn't too bad. And a lot of good athletes at McDowell. McDowell was just an awesome place for for me to fit in and coach the track team and be involved in football and basketball at McDowell. During that time, I also coached at Mercier University with Kenny Brazington. When he was the head coach there, I coached there 2 years. Coached 2 All-Americans, Herbie, Tom Heemer, and Dookie Dukovic was his name. He was a tight end, the other one was a wideout. And they were 2 All-Americans that played at Mercier's that I had the honor of coaching. I coached with a guy named Tom Perry, who was a person that coached at Tech High School and was a well-known coach in the city of Erie. At that time, I went back, and then I coached at McDowell with Ron Ruler and John Cashone. Tremendous coaches, those guys. I saw Ronnie on your interview just the other day, and what a great guy he is. And you know, John was very knowledgeable, and I coached with them there. And then I went from there to Mercyhurst again. I coached with Joe Kimball at Mercyhurst College. And at that time, I coached defensive line. And no All-Americans, but they were pretty good. We were 6-3 or 6-4. And it was when they went into the GLIAC. And that was a buzz. Oh my goodness!
Those games are.
Grand Valley,
yeah,
you know.
tough.
I mean, Grand Valley was small Division I. You ask me. They just. I forget that coach's name. He went on to coach many great teams. I think he's coaching. Coaching the pros. But anyway, yeah, that was a tough league to get back in with Joe. He kind of got into, and I'll be interested to see what they do with the Division I program. Because one of my favorite coaches of all time that I did get an opportunity to coach with is Tom Herman, who is also at Mercyhurst, that's Division I, and he was a very good friend indeed. I was blessed with the fact that I coached. I kind of looked at, you know, listing all the people that I coached with, and it's in the 40s.
You got a lot of guys, a lot of well-known guys that you coached with.
Yes, I did. I mean, I was blessed with, you know, Danny DiTullio and Ronnie, of course, and Joe Terra. You know, they played for the quarterfinals of the state of Pennsylvania. You know, I mean, you don't get to that. And Timmy Holland, who started me in this whole deal. You know, his classic line to me was, "Hoff, you're never going to have to worry about ball bears." I said, "Timmy, what are you talking about?" He said, "Well, there's only 2 handles on a garbage can." That's what he always used to tell me. He was classic, Timmy. If you got to share some time with him, boy, it was fun stuff.
Yeah.
No question about that.
So what are some of the, can you tell me some games or teams or,
you know what?
or moments, players that you
I wanted to make sure that I mentioned these 3 things. And I got to tell you, probably one of the greatest, you know, I had an undefeated, unscored upon team at St. John's. We didn't lose much at St. John's, but undefeated, unscored upon was pretty good. And there was a guy who many of you probably out there would know. I'm trying to think of his name right now. Oh, Mike. He was the coach at JFK. And he was a probation officer. Gee.
Wasn't Ed Darnell?
Ed Darnell.
Okay, yeah.
Ed Darnell with Bug the
Did his son play for you, Mike?
Yes, Michael did play for me.
Okay.
Bad dude, man. He was nose guard. Mike was so much fun to coach. Tough to understand, but you could. Great coach. But loved Michael.
His dad, Ed Darnell, right?
Yeah,
right.
Ed was the coach at JFK. And that's when Lee Barney, Stefan, Hasbury, I could, if I sat here and thought about it, they all played for him.
For JFK.
Yeah, and they were undefeated also. And he'd bug the hell out of me. He'd say, "Come on," he says, "come on, we'll scrimmage. Let's play a game." I said, "No, we're not playing a game. It doesn't do any good for that, you know." And So anyway, I said to him, I says, oh, we come by the field at about 4:45 one night, and I says, well, yeah, we'll scrimmage tonight, 5:30. Thinking, you know, you ain't gonna do that. Next thing I know, there's a bus up there with the whole freaking football team, and also probably about 500 to 700 fans. They came and swarmed Bakersfield. I'm very serious. We played on the east half of the field, and it was physical. Oh my goodness. I remember Bobby Neese getting hurt, and I remember one of their players, I think it was Stephon Lyons, but I'm not sure who it was. But it was at Donnybrook, and there was nobody out there that didn't feel like, hitting. They were going to hit each other hard.
Tough game.
And so finally, after the crowd started just coming in, everybody wanted to get closer and closer. I said, that's enough. We're not going to go any further with this. It proves nothing, and I didn't want to get anybody hurt, and he didn't want to get anybody hurt, so we agreed that it was a tie.
Right.
And whether it was any different, it doesn't really matter now. But it was and what was amazing about it is little did I know at that time, when that was taking place, that I would be coaching those kids on that team,
right.
along with some of the kids from my team at Academy High School, which was truly an honor. Those cats, they definitely had my heart. I know that because, and that's part of the reason why I coached. Because I cared about seeing the development of young people and making sure that they got in to be somebody like yourself has done.
Right.
And so many others that I've coached. I got kids that are mayors. That's...
Yeah, you had a big part of that.
Yeah.
In their development.
Yeah, and that's good.
Yeah, makes you proud.
Yeah, sure does. Sure does. But what the games, you said we were going to talk about the games. That was one of them, and that was just the start of grade school. Now when we go, I can remember the Cathedral Prep game where we played prep at the stadium, and we played on a Saturday night, and at halftime the lightning broke out, and I believe it was 6-0 us, but I'm not positive. They had to call the game, and we had to come back on Monday to play the game. And so on Sunday we had a meeting, and we had a quarterback that was left-handed. His name was Mark Bana, and very good quarter. He was left-handed, and we had a heck of an argument about whether or not he should roll out to the right or to the left. Now, you're a right-handed quarterback, and I've seen you play. Do you like to go to the right, or would you rather go to the left?
It's easier to go to your right.
It's easier to go to the right. Well, we fought like hell, and he ended up going to the right, which he should have gone to the left. Sorry, Dan, this is a fact. And he threw an interception, and we ended up losing, I think, like 7-6 to prep that at the time. And that was the first loss that they had, because 78 they won the city championship with you at Edinburgh, and then the next year we lost to Tech on famous Amos's jaunt right down the middle of the field with about 16 seconds left. And so we lost to Tech that year. Although we lost to Prep, that caused a playoff, and we lost to Tech in the playoff in 1979. 1980, the same thing happened with Prep. And then there were leaner years. One of my favorite players at Academy was Andre Overton. For that little guy, man, I'll tell you what, he'd smack your teeth out. And he was just one of those shifty, fast little guys that could get a hold of you and wouldn't let him go. And I loved Andre back in the day. But then another game that comes to mind is when 1984-85, when I go to McDowell. And we're going to, I'm at McDowell with Joe Sanford. Had a tremendous team, 2 sets of twins, the Williams brothers and the Christensen brothers. They had Mark Stepnowski at Cathedral Prep. McDowell hadn't beaten Prep in a ton of time. And Stepnowski and them, they were running over people pretty much. Well, I had the 2 Christensen brothers, and I used to call them the Rubbles, Barney and Fred Rubble. and they were wrestlers. And so when we had our meeting on, to get ready to play prep, I says, this is what I would propose to do. I think we should put one of the Christensens on his inside, one on his outside, wherever he goes, both of them go. And it stymied him because he couldn't pull.
Right.
Once he pulled, they couldn't get a reach block on the guy. They couldn't get a down block on the guy. And on top of that, I had those guys so well trained to go after that guy. I mean, I made them go in and, pretend the kid that would play him, when he went to the bathroom, they had to go stand outside and watch, but they had to be there when he was doing it, because he wasn't going nowhere without them knowing it. And so we ended up beating Prep that year with Stepnowski, and that was a big victory. Another one was at McDowell when I was at Academy, and Paul Presopierski broke his neck in a game because, I don't know if you remember it, but they used to put a 3-foot post at the end of the end zone with a rope on it. Well, Paul caught a touchdown pass, went to jump over it, got caught, broke his neck, played after with a broken neck, which we didn't know at the time. Obviously, we would not have played him.
Right.
But he was a tough little rat, and we came back and played, beat him. And we were down by like 24. It was a rainstorm. That one comes to mind. And then the other one, probably the worst loss of any that I had as a coach or on a coaching staff, was when we played McKeesport in the stadium. You were probably there.
Yes,
and,
I remember that game. Yeah,
yeah, and they had Justin Short. Year before, we played against LeVar Arrington. You know what I mean? These were some cats.
Yeah, and probably should have,
Yeah, we should have beat them.
Yeah.
Well, absolutely, we should have beat McKeesport. But the thing about McKeesport was that would really urinate you off, man. I'm telling you what, we used to get dressed at the Bakers and then walk down French Street hand in hand, the whole team. It was pretty powerful, man. You come down that road, going in the French Street entrance together like that. I mean, it was, you could feel the power of that.
Right.
And we went to do that the night that we were going to play McKeesport. We'd already played Clearfield, that was undefeated in the stadium, and we had played Cheney South, and there was another game, I think it was DuBois, and we gave them all a pretty good spanking. They were both undefeated, and we had like 2 losses. And we had beaten Prep too on Chucky Carson's amazing run. They had scored 2 touchdowns, and then Chucky Carson ran one back, and after that it was Katie bar the doors. We gave them a butt whoop, and they didn't forget. I think we won like 36-14 or something like that. But anyway, that was one of the games, and all those days we're going down, French Street, and when McKeesport got here at like 5 o'clock, it was in the news that's what we did. You
walk down from
we'll be walking down and all that. Well, McKeesport was waiting for us at 29th and right next to the Academy, saying, "You ain't going this way, you're going that way." And I can still see Timmy Holland. We could have had a full scale battle right there. We should have started it right there. I still say to this day we should walk right through their houses. But anyway, we went over to State Street, come down State Street, come in that way. And we lost 7-6. They averaged 565 yards. They had 43 yards in the game. On the ground, they averaged 565 yards.
Wow.
And they averaged like 52 in the air. And honest to God, the kid threw a pass. I still say they lost it in the lights because it was so high. And Chucky Carson, Lamar Owens. Oh man, he was a tough kid. And another fell. And they caught the pass. It was the only thing they scored, 7-6. And then we scored a touchdown, bobbled the snap. Roosevelt got stopped on like the 2-yard line. Battle Royal, one of the best games ever played in the stadium. Right. I got to say that. And that was probably the toughest loss of any.
And they go on and blow the team out the next week, right? So you would have definitely won it probably next week.
They won 51-6.
Right.
So we would have won I mean, we had a very good chance of winning the state title because of what they did.
Right.
And
That was like '94. Right?
yeah,
Right.
yeah. And then that was tough. That's when I came back to Central. When Central came, Joe became the coach, and I came back after coaching at McDowell to Central and coached with Joe for 4 years, and then been very successful 2 times. We played for the semifinals of the state.
Right. 2 times in a row. Right?
Yeah. And so anyway, then I went, and it was like Joe had quit. I had gone back to McDowell with them, and Joe had gone to Fort LaBeouf, Joe Tarasovich. And so he called me up and asked me if I would coach the 7th and 8th grade football team at Fort LaBeouf. And I had coached the varsity teams, I'd coached college, and I wanted just a nice way out. And it was a nice way to maybe pad the retirement.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
a little bit, and so I accepted, and I ended up coaching there almost 8 years.
Wow.
I coached with 3 different coaches. I coached with Joe, I coached with Johnny Campbell, and I coached with Nichols, Coach Nichols. All 3 staffs. I was the 7th and 8th grade coach. Had an undefeated team there, and you know what? To tell you the truth, if I really had to do over again and could pick everything that I wanted to do and could pick where I coached and all that stuff, I think I would have gone to Fort LaBeouf, and I know the house I would have bought, and because the work ethic behind the kids was unquestionably the best that I've ever seen in any, and I've seen tremendous work ethic. Don't get me wrong, it was just that desire that the country kid had that I didn't see ever before, and I really enjoyed them guys.
I saw a game when Coach Tarasovich was coaching out there, and Greenville was really good back then.
Oh yeah,
and they were beating everybody up, really physical. And I saw Fort LaBeouf play them in the stadium, and it was a battle. And I said, "Wow, I was Fort LaBeouf really shocked me that day." Like,
it is amazing what those kids. As a matter of fact, today. Tonight at 5:00, I'm going to one of the kids that I coached weddings. That was, it'll be neat. It'll be neat to be able to go see one of the kids. And I was invited. So that's one of the things about this coaching gig that, is very rewarding. Not so much being invited to weddings, but being invited to do stuff like this. Having friends like you and your brothers. That's big. Real big.
Coach, since we've been on this page, and a guy requested to have you interviewed, and you got to interview Coach Bob Hoffman. You got to interview him. And so, anytime players talk about you, they all love you. What do you think? What do you think it was that about you that?
Well, you know what, I always was a straight shooter with kids. I let them know what they did wrong. Always gave them a second chance. Tried to make them better by learning from what they did wrong, whether it be on the football field or whether it be something that they may have done that they shouldn't have done. God only knows what that could be. I hope that there's people like that today in this that feel the way I did. And that's why those kids feel that way about me. Because respect, big thing, huge. And we need more of it. And Facebook helps. Facebook helps a lot.
Yes,
they'll watch this a little bit, and probably some of them shut it off by now, but that's okay. That's okay too. They'll come back. And hopefully that this grows a little bit for you, because it really is a tremendous thing that you're doing, to hear from us old timers, just exactly how we felt.
Yeah, we all love hearing from you guys. Big parts of our lives.
Another thing that the people don't know when you start doing this, you may have heard of Brian Flanagan. He was the basketball coach at Prep. He started coaching with me.
Yeah, when I worked at as a teenager at E.E. Austin. He
Yeah.
was working there, so that's where I met him at.
Yeah, Brian Flanagan.
Yeah.
He started coaching with me at St. John's. And then Jerry Leitner from Fairview.
Yeah.
He started coaching with me at St. John's. He was 5th and 6th grade coach when I was a varsity coach. And another one was John Birchtold, who,
Great defensive coordinator.
yeah, and a head coach.
Yeah, head coach at Prep.
Head coach at Prep for a while. And
I think he was going to become the head coach at Tech. If
yes, he was.
If they wanted to combine the two schools into Central, I think he was the next.
Yeah,
head
he
coach.
was. He was. And then Prep hired him, and then Timmy became the head coach at Tech. Or, I mean, at Central. Which was a blessing to you guys, because Timmy was probably one of the most knowledgeable coaches, and he always believed that repetition bred soundness, and he'd make you do it until you could do it.
Yeah, I didn't realize, as a player, how good of those guys were.
Yeah.
But when I look back at it, and I say, man, they really came in and did a great job with us, man. They had a system they believed in,
Yep.
and they taught us fundamentals, and you saw the turnaround, it turned around real fast.
Yeah, it did. It did. And that was great to see, and it was great to be part of also, because that was the intent. We knew we had the athlete. It was just a matter of convincing you guys to do it the right way,
Right.
which was tough. That was tough, but we got her done. We got her done.
Any moments you wish you had back?
Well, not too many, probably a couple of the things. If there's one thing that I did in my life that I wish I would have stopped sooner, was drinking. I mean, I drank until I would, and then realized that I was only hurting myself and possibly other people. I decided to quit that probably about 7 years ago.
That's good. That's awesome.
And not an easy thing to do, but sometimes when you do that, that might be a regret. It was fun, when you were sitting around with the guys and stuff. But even then, you might even say something that you really didn't mean to say at that particular time. No regrets as far as anything that I can think of as far as coaching, because I loved it, and it was what I was put here to do, I think. All of us have a thing. One of my other favorite stories is Bobby Saunders. I got to tell you this one, because of the fact that he played for us in middle school, because he played at Wilson. That year that he played for us at Wilson, which was in the spring, he had played for St. John's the year before. And so he played more than he did as a professional when he was in the 8th grade. but anyway, between the two schools, because he had played 8 games for St. John's, and then he played 8 games for us at
Right, played a full season.
yeah,
16
but yeah. And so we were practicing one time. We had 2 girls on our team. One of them was a Beeson. I can't remember her name, and I can't remember the other girl's name. But they were on our team, and they come every day. And we were practicing one day and running a play up the middle or something. And the one Beeson girl, which was a tiny girl, she was a small girl, but tough as nails. She caught Bobby by the ankle and spun him in the air. Boom! He hit the deck, and he's like, "Oh God!" And I walk over to him and I said, "Hey, Bob," I said, "You know that was a girl?" And to this day, you can ask Bobby Saunders; he'll remember that. He'll remember that, and he was Super Bowl champ. And that one, and the other one was Buffalino, and that staff down at Vincent. We had the 2 girls. And we were giving them pretty good thumping down there because we had a good team. And we were giving it to them pretty good. And finally, Buff was not a person to take a lot. he didn't like that at all. And Tim and Timmy and, oh, geez, everybody's barking at everybody. And then finally Timmy goes over, and we was one of the biggest ball busters of all time, Timmy Holland. He goes and he says to Buff, he says, "Hey," he says, "don't worry, we're not going to let the girls score." Oh my God, that ended that too. I guess you had to be there, but it was pretty fun stuff with them guys, that's for sure.
Right. What are you most proud of?
Probably the most proud of the fact that the kids recognize. You don't have to be recognized in life by other people, your peers, or anything like that. The kids recognize. They know what's up.
Yeah, they know. They know the truth.
They know the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And so the biggest honor is that.
Right. Right.
That fact.
Kids know. Kids can see right through stuff. They know
That's
if you're
it.
sincere or not. Right.
They know Coach Hoffman was the real deal.
Right.
You know?
What would you say? 'Cause some of your old coaches that you coach with, some of the players are going to see this. You want to say something to them right now?
Yeah, you know, in our society, there seems to be too much hate. Football's a sport. Basketball's a sport. And just too much of it. Everybody wants to be at everybody's throat. Everybody's doing things wrong. And I hope that the young people that may watch this realize that someday they'll be the legends of this town, and that they take the responsibility serious. We got to get back to, you know, where people care about each other.
Mm-hmm.
And it ain't hard. It ain't hard. Pretty much, is, you know, that's the way I feel. That if they can, and I see it. I see it. My buddy, the mayor, Shannon Glover. God dang, that kid makes me proud. And when I think back,
Mm-hmm.
and so many of them, Mike Furman, you know, Joe Tarasovich, you, what you do, and your brother
My
Jerry.
brothers love you. They love you.
Yeah, yeah.
They talk about you all the time.
Oh man, Atu was a bad dude, man. I gotta tell you this story. We're playing the team down, and the quarterback for their team, all world, he freaking breaks her collarbone on her first play. And we're thinking, oh, we're gonna be in this. We're gonna be in this. We go and drive down. This is with Roosevelt, Benjamin, Cooper, all them guys. They were tough.
Mm-hmm. Good play.
And so then Atu played nose guard. And so now they bring in their second stringer. He rolls out to the right. Two takes him out of the game. And so now I'm thinking, oh man, we're going to be in this. We're 6-zip. You know, they bring in a 10th grader, and he throws for 375 yards and 6 touchdowns. And we ended up losing like 43-7 to the same team.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the powerhouse from down there.
Ignatius?
Yeah, St. Ignatius.
Mm-hmm.
At St. Ignatius. And I actually got accused by Joe Tarasovich that I coached the lose. I still slap you for that. You, what do you think? Had to get that one in there. I never coached the lose, never. But that was special times. A lot of special coaches, so many that I loved that, and still do to this day. I'll go down with them, you know. But if I could tell you one thing, be kind. That's the most important thing that we can all do in everything, and continue to be good examples to all these kids. And one more thing I wanted to tell you guys before we ended this, and that is, take a lap.
Coach Hoffman, everybody. Give it up for Coach Hoffman. Thanks for being here today.
Love you, man.
Yeah.